We all know that Akira Toriyama's epic series Dragon Ball was influenced by the old tale Journey to the West, but have you ever wondered where the concept of the Dragon Balls was inspired from? Well, although Toriyama wanted to have a concept where Goku and his friends could go on an adventure, he needed to create a point of motive. In an interview when asked where the idea came from, he just simply replied saying he wanted a game-like component of them gathering something and receiving a reward. He ended up deciding on creating the wish-granting balls to make a sense of pursuit. Although saying in an interview that he had no particular reason to creating 7 balls, in the Dragon Ball Boken special, Toriyama explains that there are 7 Dragon Balls and not 8 because he did not want any affiliations with the famous Edo-era Japanese novel Nanso Satami Haken Den, which roughly translates as the 8 Dog Chronicles, where in the original story there are 8 crystal ball beads which were created when Princess Fuse has sex with her father's demonically possessed dog, Yatsufusa. Just let that sink in for a while. The 8 crystal balls went into a sky and scattered across different areas of the region, similar to how the Dragon Balls disperse after the wishes are granted. But in the case, the balls later became spirits of human children. Well, actually, there were some sort of human-dog hybrid warriors. There is actually an anime around the novel, so you can check it out. But hey, that's not all. Dragon Ball's conception was also roughly inspired from Toriyama's prior work. After the completion of Dr. Slump, one of Toriyama's greatest hits, his editor Kazuhiko Toshirama advised him to draw a kung fu manga, fully knowing the love Toriyama had for martial arts. This produced Dragon Boy, Toriyama's one-shot manga, which bears a lot of similarities to his following hit series we all know and love today. Dragon Boy, even though it has nothing to do with Dragon Ball, is considered as the precursor of Dragon Ball. Akira Toriyama was heavily influenced by Western media, and he showed that throughout his Dragon Ball series. For instance, each of the Z Saga was inspired from a Western movie. The Saiyan Saga was inspired from Superman 2. Nappa, Vegeta and Raditz' arrival on Earth parallels the Kryptonian Zod, Ursa and Non's arrival. Goku's origin is also quite similar to Superman's. The main reason for Superman's voyage was because of the destruction of planet Krypton, mirroring the planet Vegeta. Superman's parents both decided for him to be sent to Earth for his survival. In Dragon Ball Minus, which we all know is canon from our previous video, Goku was intentionally sent to Earth by Bardock and Guinea to also keep him alive. Although this wasn't the case before the Z series, Toriyama even stated that the concept of Goku being an alien came to him after the conception of Vegeta. Initially he had this giant ape transformation to be like one of a werewolf. The Frieza saga also has many influences, one of which was Star Wars. Toriyama loved Star Wars and had already sprinkled some Star Wars references throughout the series. His obsession with Star Wars also inspired him to create a Star Wars parody, which was the first manuscript that Toriyama sent to his editor, Torishima. Although the comparison between Frieza and Darth Vader seems diminutive, the whole concept of Frieza's Planet Trade Organization resonates with the Galactic Empire in Star Wars. Vader has his own Imperial Army, as does Frieza in the form of the Galactic Frieza Army, also known as the Frieza Force. That and the whole space and intergalactic adventure seems to scream Star Wars all over it. Other examples where references to Star Wars appears in Dragon Ball in the Red Ribbon Army arc when Goku goes to West City and visits Bulma. There's an imitation of the R2-D2 droid in her room. The R2-D2 droid is connected to a hover car that looks like Luke Skywalker's X-34 landspeeder vehicle. Behind them is the Imperial shuttle used for transporting the Emperor. Furthermore, you might be wondering what influenced the Android and Cell saga. Well, if the time travel and robots didn't make this obvious, it was inspired by the Terminator franchise. Trunks could be seen as John Connor in some way, traveling back in time to give some warning of a dystopian future governed by androids. Even Android 16's skeleton structure mimics the Terminator frame. Although Toriyama was said to have already parodied Arnold's Terminator in Dragon Ball in the form of Major Metalotron, but 16's personality resembles the Terminator more, as he starts off as a mindless robot whose sole purpose is to kill the hero, but is later reprogrammed to help the humans fight against a bigger threat. The Boo saga had some Disney spoofs, with it's quite apparent with the antagonist names Bobbidi, Bibbidi and Boo. If you guys know more, list them in the comment section below. We all know that Toriyama is known to be forgetful. For instance, there's the fact that Toriyama forgot that there was a Super Saiyan 2 form. In his mind it jumped straight from 1 to 3. He forgot that Saiyans have tails, and then he also forgot about Android 18's hair, which was blonde instead of purple, and he even thought he had forgotten Launch, but in reality he didn't. Toriyama stated that he had believed he had forgotten her for the majority of the end of the Dragon Ball section of the manga during the 23rd Budokai. But in the Saiyan saga, he had given Krillin a brief bit of dialogue stating that Launch had been off chasing Tien for years, and that's why she had been gone. However, Toriyama had forgot that Launch had appeared right up to the very end of the 23rd Budokai, meaning that she had been absent in the manga for a grand total of 2 chapters before he gave Krillin that dialogue. To put it in perspective, Tien and Yamcha had been absent for essentially the exact same length of time that she had been in Dragon Ball. After that though, Toriyama did draw her in one of the Saiyan saga cover pages, and he did actually intend for her to be the one shown offering ki to Goku's Genki Dama during the battle with Boo, but he instead opted to have 17 there instead while retaining her dialogue. Well, either way, we give Akira Toriyama a lot of hard time and flack for his poor memory, but in an interview Toriyama actually said he doesn't write any notes and he actually doesn't mind forgetting things. In his own words, he said, "If I don't forget stuff, new ideas won't come to my mind." But you have to give the man some credit. Toriyama is a hard-working mangaka. In another interview, he said, "There was a time where I slept only 20 minutes over the span of 6 days, recalling the days how it was like he was going to die during the peak period of Dragon Ball." If you look carefully in the manga, you could notice Piccolo only has 4 fingers if you include his thumb, but in the anime he has 5 fingers. In the manga, Imperfect Cell has 3 fingers, but they reverted back to the 5-digit standard in the anime. This is also the case with Majin Buu. Buu has mitten hands in the manga, but is given human hands. Although it's quite funny how Toriyama drew all his main antagonists with a missing finger, it's quite weird that they portrayed them differently in the anime. This is a kind of mysterious change that makes us fans wonder whether or not the animators had done this on purpose. However, in actuality, this was a form of censorship. Japan has a strict discriminating policy against any simulated characters missing a finger. This is all due to the history of Japan's subclass meatpacking workers, who were typically looked down upon in their society. The expressive display of showing a missing fingered hand gesture intentionally directed at another came to mean that you were calling them a member of the meatpacking subclass, which was considered as an insult to some. The connection behind this with the meatpacking class was due to the work-related accidents. Some workers lost a finger, showing them a hand with a missing finger reminded them of their status and class, and it later became frequent to symbolically represent the subclass. However, there are certain groups of people in Japan who would like to see this history forgotten and will challenge and can cause many problems in publications, and it can very likely end up in legal battle. Shenron. Funny enough, the series is called Dragon Ball, but not much is known about the conception of the dragon Shenron. Well, Shenron, or Shenlong pronounced in the manga, is named after the spiritual dragon of the same name in Chinese mythology. The dragon is known for being a weather entity as the master of storms and the bringer of rain, which was an inspiration for the weather to be portrayed the way it is in Dragon Ball. Shenron is often shown with azuri or green coloured scales and is said to be 5-clawed imperial dragon, and unlike the western portrayal of dragons, he possesses no large wings on his back. Toriyama's illustration of Shenron's original design changed over the course of Dragon Ball's timeline, as his underside changed from green to a more yellowish color. However, Toriyama's first conception of Shenron was in Dragon Boy. Well, you know, you might say it wasn't really Shenron, but more like a prototype. The Dragon Ball in Dragon Boy produces mini dragons when hit with an energy blast. The dragons were actually rather useless when Tanton, the protagonist, summoned them. Another fun fact about Shenron is that he cannot defeat or kill someone whose own power exceeds his creator, Kami or Dende. This is shown when he is actually killed in Dragon Ball. Well, although he is known as the Eternal Dragon, King Piccolo kills him after he granted his wish for eternal youth. So in Shenron's case, eternal suggests he is timeless when it comes to age, but he still can be killed, which is a contrast that is quite funny, as he is unable to restore life to those who have died because of old age, but he can restore a person's youth, heal any sickness, and revive the dead from any other natural deaths, although terms and conditions applies depending on the creator's power. Also, at one point there was some fan speculation that Shenron lived within the Dragon Balls, or his energy returned to the stone sculpture which he was created from. Even though Shenron returning to the stone model makes a lot of sense, according to the back of the Saga of Goku box set, Shenron resides in the fiery center of the Earth's core. Some other features Shenron had in Toriyama's artwork was in Dr. Slump, where Shenron granted a wish for a tractor on behalf of the Penguin Village. Arale is also seen holding Shenron and tying him up as a gag. Now let's talk about the Genki Dama, one of Goku's signature techniques that he has pretty much used in all of his fights. We all know what Kamehameha was inspired from, as we covered this in our 7 things you didn't know about Goku video. But what was Genki Dama, aka the Spirit Bomb, inspired from? Genki Dama is a Japanese term written in kanji and essentially connected with Taoism culture. Genki, although normally used to ask to how one is doing in Japanese, is actually means origin ki or energy. In Taoism culture, one of the ideologies spoken of its very origin of all matter in the most macrocosm realm is our Genki. Genki is composed of the very characteristics of the universe and is virtues and pure, which is possibly why in Dragon Ball Z, Goku states that only good people can use the Spirit Bomb. Chinese Taoism culture does not distinguish between organic and inorganic, alive or dead. All matter is both simultaneously a living and dying, and all matter is composed of the same submolecular components. Therefore, people, ghosts, gods, demons, trees, rivers, mountains, fish, planets and stars all have Genki. As we see in Dragon Ball Z, when Goku is channeling energy for the Spirit Bomb, Genki is being given from various trees, living creatures and other life forms. Dharma is the Japanese character representing the connection between heaven and earth. However, more commonly, Dharma can mean ball or sphere. In this case, it's usually pronounced Tama. So technically, the Genki Dama is a ball of origin ki comprised of the essence of heaven and earth. Even the heaven and earth stance Goku poses to gather the pure ki originated from Taoism and Buddhist exercises. Goku connects his mind with living and non-living beings with a certain amount of space and collects their energy. As Goku's cultivation level rises, his mind becomes increasingly expansive with each level of ascension. His sphere of influence expands, reaching so far that he connects with beings on other planets and even in other dimensions. When the energy from his type of Genki Dama is gathered, it tends to exhaust the people or animals that the Genki is drawn from. To point this out, North Kai tells Vegeta, who is instructing the Earthlings to give Goku their Genki, that if he takes that Genki again from them, they will die. This correlates with the idea that Genki is the very core of our essence. Taoism believes that if your human essence is drawn out or stolen, your life will be shortened. If it is eliminated, it will cause immediate death. Although Dragon Ball dabbled in the fair share of its fillers throughout the series, the anime stayed loyal to the manga. Well, apart from the censorship that is, most of what was in the manga ended up into the anime, but sometimes Toriyama decided to go the extra mile, and the violence became a little too extreme and brutal even for the anime. For instance, in the Android arc of the manga, the first appearance of Dr. Jiro was cut out from the anime as Dr. Jiro stops in the middle of traffic and straight up squeezes the neck of his body. Even though there are a couple of brutal moments in Dragon Ball with Krillin getting rammed and impaled by Frieza's horn, or Yamcha getting penetrated by Dr. Jiro's hands, or Videl being beaten bloody by Spopovich, but seriously, in the manga is sometimes taken too far, as the level of detail Toriyama put in is literally eye-popping. Even the level of sexuality had to be censored. Bulma, being only 16, is shown partially naked numerous times in the manga, where they later became altered or concealed altogether in the anime. Yet after the manga had been censored at some places, the anime also went through further censorship when aired and dubbed in different countries, from Mr. Popo's Color to further censorship any sexual references. But even death, hell, blood and tears are even censored in some dubs. Goku's halo gets replaced with some weird bright light, hell becomes less hell and more of a home for the infinite losers, and guess what, no blood and tears went into any of this decision making. Some dubs in Thailand, for example, you can't even show Gohan transforming into an ape. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and you know what, we're really working hard here. I hope you press the like button and you share this with your friends that you know may enjoy this video. Please subscribe and press the like and spread the word. We're pretty much working full-time jobs and we're trying our best. You would know and keep us updated if you follow us on Twitter, as I'm tweeting quite a bit on there, and you know, I'm giving my updates, giving more about my personal life and all of that stuff if you really want to get into that. We also got quite funny videos coming up. It's our personal videos. We've got anime theme challenge, and we're also going to pretty much cover Itachi and Berserk next in our Did You Know series. And pretty much thanks for you guys' support, and let me know what blew your mind the most.